Welcome back, everyone, to another Bleek Rides. Not riding today. It's pretty rainy in Iowa. Just not feeling up to it. Thought I'd shoot a video from inside the studio. Here we are in the Bleek Ride studio. Got a story of true crime for you today. Takes place here in Iowa. It is the story of Jason Gage. Jason Gage was a 29-year-old gay man from Waterloo, Iowa. His murder helped bring about the push for citywide laws in regards to the LGBT community. Jason Gage was last seen alive on March 11th, 2005, socializing with friends in Waterloo's downtown bar. Sometime that night, he went home to his apartment in the Russell Lamson building. With him was 23-year-old Joseph Lawrence. Jason was originally from Waterloo, Iowa. He lived in Chicago and in Milwaukee before moving to Waterloo. Years earlier, he settled down and worked waiting tables in the Italian restaurant of his apartment building. He enrolled at the College of Hair and Design in Waterloo. In January 2003, his friends said he dreamed of working in a big city salon. He was on his way to achieving that dream. Hats off to anybody who pushes forward, goes to school. The more you learn, the more you earn. Jason's friend Lawrence was born in Seaford, Delaware. He was removed from his birth parents after severe abuse and spent several years in foster care before being adopted at the age of 5. Terrible. He moved with his adoptive parents to Maryland, then to New Jersey, and then on to Ohio. During his time in Ohio, he decided he no longer wanted to be adopted and moved back into foster care at the age of 16. From there, he moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and then on to New Mexico. This man moved a lot. Lawrence moved from Farmington back to New Mexico, where he had been an oil worker, and then to Cedar Falls, Iowa, to be with his girlfriend, Elizabeth Hosteller. Lawrence's girlfriend, Elizabeth, was 6 months pregnant with their child. The couple, who had been together for a year, decided to move to Cedar Falls because Hostetter had many lifelong friends in the area. She said she introduced Gage and Lawrence about a week before Gage's murder. Hostetter had met Gage through an acquaintance that had known him for about 2 years. Witnesses had said that Gage and Lawrence were together the night Gage was killed. They were seen at a local gay club, the Kings and Queens, before heading to an after-hours party at the Times bar. The two left at some point and headed back to Gage's apartment. According to the girlfriend, Elizabeth, she had told Lawrence that he could wait for a ride, and a female friend and roommate of Elizabeth said Lawrence called late Friday or early Saturday asking for that ride home. He didn't like the hospitality of the place and needed a ride, or he was going to end up in jail. If you're uncomfortable with a group of people, it would seem to me that's all the more reason to grow a little empathy, to find out what it is that so bothers you so, analyze it so that you can move on. It's only through our ability for introspection that we singularly on this planet have the ability to move on. Penguins can't look inside. Polar bears are not looking inside. Only us. And I don't think we do it enough. We get set in our ways and assume that's the way of the world, and anything that goes against it, we don't like. Get rid of it. There's no empathy in that. Maybe it's because the path I've been on or the life I've led, my eyes have been opened to all the possibilities of the world and all the people in it. And I give everyone a little more slack, a little wider berth, a little bit more empathy. Because I know we're all a couple of bad choices away from a very different life. A couple of decisions away from being persecuted. And we could all resonate a little more understanding. Myself included. In the early hours of March 12th, phone records show that Lawrence sent several text messages to a friend in Iowa and in New Mexico via his cell phone. "I just killed a guy, I think," one read. A second sent to Michael Bailey in New Mexico flashed, "You need to call me soon." A phone conversation between Bailey and Lawrence in which Lawrence said some guy tried to hit on him real bad and described a fight that got way out of hand, indicated that Lawrence may not have known Gage was dead. At 11 p.m. on March 14th, 2005, Jason Gage's body was found in his bed. When police entered his apartment after friends expressed their concern that Gage did not show up for work on Monday and had not been seen for 3 days. Gage had been bludgeoned in the head with a bottle and stabbed in the neck with a shard of glass. Bloody. Hours later, 23-year-old Joseph Lawrence of Cedar Falls was arrested and charged with Gage's murder. Police said Lawrence admitted he had fought with Gage, hit him with a bottle, and stabbed him in the neck with a piece of glass. An autopsy revealed that Gage died from severe head injuries. Gage's body lacked any defensive wounds that would suggest he had warded off the attack. When police entered Jason's home, 2 glasses were out, suggesting that Gage and Lawrence had been drinking and watching television. I mean, if you say no and no doesn't cut it, get out of there, if you have the ability to do so. The fact that this resorted to this level of violence when a man took his shot. There's a thing about taking your shot. If you muster up the courage to take your shot, say, "Hey, I'm interested in you, I'm attracted to you, I'd like to pursue you." Be willing to accept the outcome that you don't get, that you don't want. The one where the person says, "I'm not interested. You do not attract me, and I do not want to pursue this with you." Some people do it in the most horrible fashion. Some people say, "It's not me, it's you. It's you, it's me." Something like that. But we all need to be able to understand if you take your shot, you might get shot down. And the answer isn't to beat somebody up or kill them about it. The answer is to say this isn't going to work and move on. That's the adult thing to do. And maybe if Lawrence had been a little bit more of an adult, Jason Gage would still be alive. I don't know. I wasn't there. Hard to say. No, when alcohol's involved, people do a lot of stupid shit. Lawrence gave a videotape statement at the Waterloo police station to some plainclothes officers. He acknowledged hitting Jason twice with a bottle and stabbing him with a piece of glass. Lawrence's fiancée offered a motive. She said Lawrence told her that Gage had made sexual advances. Lawrence had gay friends, hung out with gay people, and did not have violent tendencies. She said Gage must have made physical advances. The incident would have never happened had Lawrence not been drunk. That this was not a hate crime. A point of note here in Iowa. Iowa code does not have a law defining murder based on racial or sexual bias. At the time, the information I'm drawing from was written. Murder, regardless of the motive, is punishable by life in prison without parole. Another state law mentioned in Lawrence's case, titled Violation of Individual Rights, prohibits assault, vandalism, or trespass for reasons of race or color, religion, ancestry, or national origin. In trial, information formally charging Lawrence with murder, the prosecutors included that theory, that Lawrence Gage, while committing the crime of assault, was in violation of individual rights. Following Jason Gage's death, the Waterloo Human Rights Commission asked the city council to add sexual orientation to the protections of the cities and residents, and made it an ordinance permissible under Iowa state law. The Waterloo mayor, Tim Hurley, who had joined the commission in condemning this murder, held a press conference outside the commission's office, but said he had not formed an opinion on the addition of sexual orientation to the city's human rights ordinances. Jason Gage's friends held candlelight vigils outside his apartment building, and his family and classmates held a memorial outside of the beauty school. His wake was attended by hundreds, and his funeral drew a crowd too large for the funeral home where it was held. Churches took up a collection for Gage. A benefit to raise money for the scholarship fund was held at the City Convention Center and attracted numerous attendees. It also attracted protesters from the Waterloo Baptist Church in Topeka, in Kansas. About 20 Westboro members picketed and stood outside the convention center carrying signs shouting, "Gage was in hell." I don't know what it is with these religious zealots. They just can't let anything go. On December 16th, 2005, as part of a plea agreement, Joseph Lawrence entered an Alford plea. If I recall, the Alford plea is like, we have enough evidence to probably convict you in front of a jury, but you don't acknowledge it, so it would be troublesome. It's a weird plea. The plea allowed Lawrence to avoid admitting guilt, while acknowledging that he would likely have been found guilty of Gage's murder. Had the case gone to trial, originally charged with first-degree murder, which would have meant a life sentence without parole, Lawrence pled to the lesser charge of second-degree murder as part of a plea agreement. Lawrence also waived his right to appeal the plea and the sentence and to pay a $150,000 civil penalty. $150,000 for murder? After entering this plea, Lawrence added, "I have nothing appropriate to say." You said enough with your actions, sir. And he sat silently during his sentencing. Judge Bruce Zagar sentenced Lawrence to 50 years, which was mandatory punishment under Iowa state law. Lawrence must serve at least 70% of the 35 years of his sentence before he's eligible for parole. I did this story because it's based in Iowa, and someone I know told me there's just not enough true crime about Iowa. And I've had many friends from the LGBT community. Some of the finest people I've had the opportunity to know. And I myself have been in the gay bar and aggressively hit on. I don't know, I'm fine with it. I take it as a compliment. Whether a man or a woman or somewhere in between flirts with me, I assume the beard's doing it. You know, looking good. Take it as a compliment. No reason to have these hard views. You don't like it, tell someone. Say, hey, I'm not okay with this. No need to berate or beat them over the head with a bottle. It's not necessary. I think we could all learn a little bit more humanity. Like I said about taking your shot. If you work up the courage, the sheer will to say, hey, especially in this modern time where things can be taken way out of left field, you gotta be careful. You gotta almost be contractual in the modern day. It's not like it was in 2010 or before, where you could say, I sure think you're pretty and I'd like to take you out. And now apparently that's some form of assault. Women call men feral for doing such things. I suppose men would probably call men feral for doing such things. But I think we're all still humans at the same time, and we know what we like. And if you're willing to take your shot and tell someone, hey, I like you, be willing to accept that they don't like you in return. If you go drinking with somebody not necessarily of your sexual persuasion, don't be an idiot. Have some form of expectation. And if it's really that uncomfortable for you, maybe don't put yourself in that situation if you can. Not all situations are avoidable. Having traveled most of the continental United States, and probably having been to the gay bar in every state I've traveled to, I have no issue. I think this is pure and simple murder. The guy didn't show any defensive wounds. The guy got stabbed up in the neck. They weren't so drunk as they couldn't keep drinking. Oh, that's all hyperbole. That's the story of murder. That's all I've got for you today. I wish we could do this behind some riding footage, but I'm out of B-roll, and I really need to get out and film something. Nothing wrong with occasionally shooting something in the studio. Bring you all into the place and let you look around. Might be kind of clear that I'm a bit of a Kawasaki fan or goddamn Gallows fan. Excellent music, excellent bikes. I want to thank everyone who watches these videos. I hope you find the stories I curate interesting, exciting, or if nothing else, enlightening. You get a whole lot of opinion from me. You get a little bit of information from the Wikipedia stories I draw from. And hopefully I put it into a colorful format that's enjoyable for people to watch. Anyway, with that, we'll draw this video to a close. Thanks for coming along on another Bleek Rides. True crimes, motorcycle, and murder.